Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really zooming in, stepping onto the shores of the Sea of Galilee, actually.
Right.
We're looking at this single moment, a really shocking decision in early scripture.
And it all hinges on one word, doesn't it?
Exactly.
The word immediately. Yeah. It's a moment that, scholars and theologians, they often point to it. It's seen as one of the most, maybe the most radical acts of obedience in those texts.
So our mission today is to unpack why. Why was the speed, that immediacy, so astonishing, especially given who they were and, frankly, who he was at that point.
It's a great question. The context is key.
So let's paint the picture. It's pretty simple on the surface. You've got two brothers, Peter and Andrew,
Fishermen.
and they're working, right?
Yeah.
Casting their nets. This is their job.
Yeah, they're professionals. This is their livelihood. And then this man approaches.
And he gives this command, simple but kind of revolutionary. Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.
And here it is, the line we're focusing on. Immediately, they left their nets and followed him.
Right. And if you just read that quickly, it sounds nice, a good story.
Sure, bias.
But when you stop and think about what they actually left, that decision becomes, huge, colossal.
Okay, let's dig into that. What did left their nets really mean back then in first century Galilee?
It wasn't just clocking out for the day.
No, definitely not. It meant abandoning their whole socioeconomic identity, really, not just income.
How so?
Well, fishing then, it wasn't like, a weekend hobby. It was tough work, a serious business, capital intensive.
Meaning the nets, the boats.
Yeah.
That was real money.
Oh, yeah. Big investment. Probably financed maybe through contracts, maybe family debt. Those nets alone were valuable, worth months of wages for a regular laborer.
Wow. So if they just drop them,
Yeah.
walk away right then, they're not just missing a paycheck.
No way. They're potentially facing serious debt, abandoning valuable assets, maybe leaving their family in a really tight spot financially.
It's a full surrender then of everything they knew.
Yeah.
Their security blanket, basically.
Absolutely. Their place in the community, their skills, their comfort, probably the family business passed down, all gone. For what? An unknown future with, let's be honest, an unknown person.
It just flies in the face of any kind of common sense.
Completely. Which brings us to the caller himself. And this identity gap idea, it makes that immediately even harder to grasp.
Right, because think about it. If you're ditching your whole life, you'd expect the person calling you to be, someone important, someone with credentials.
Exactly. A famous rabbi, maybe a known political leader, a war hero, someone established.
But Jesus, at this specific moment.
He wasn't any of those things. Not yet.
Yeah.
He wasn't the famous miracle worker people later knew.
He hadn't done the Sermon on the Mount, healed the sick publicly, fed the thousands.
None of it. Not the big public stuff. The healings, the raising the dead, calming storms, that was all still to come.
So to the people there, who was he?
Just a guy from Nazareth, which, wasn't exactly the most prestigious town.
And his job.
He was a tekton, a carpenter, maybe a craftsman, a builder.
Okay, and that detail. Why is that so critical for understanding their choice?
Because a tekton didn't have formal rabbinic training. No schooling in the scriptures, like the recognized teachers, no status, no lineage you'd expect for a major prophet, let alone the Messiah. By the standards of the day, he was unqualified.
So Peter and Andrew weren't following someone with a proven track record, not someone who'd shown he could provide or heal.
Exactly. They were following a working class guy, maybe known for some local teaching, but his main public record was his trade.
So that immediately, it wasn't based on seeing his resume, was it?
Not at all. It seems they were reacting purely to the authority they perceived in his voice, in his presence. Because apart from maybe John the Baptist and his followers, almost nobody saw him as anything more.
So from a purely rational standpoint, a first-century Galilean perspective, this was a terrible decision, a huge risk.
Monumental risk assessment failure, you could say, which makes what they didn't do almost more significant.
What do you mean?
Well, think about what's missing. They didn't haggle. They didn't say, okay, interesting offer, let's discuss terms.
No negotiation. No, can we have a few days to think about it?
Nope. They didn't ask, who are you exactly? Or demand proof, like, show us a sign first.
Turn these fish into bread. Something like that.
Right. Or even practical things like, let us go tell our families, or let us sell the boat first, get some cash. None of that.
That complete lack of hesitation. That's what defines this immediate faith, isn't it?
I think so. It wasn't cautious. It wasn't logical. It seems simple, pure, rooted just in trust.
A trust that somehow bypassed self-preservation, financial sense, family duty, Everything.
It suggests the authority they heard or felt in that invitation was just overwhelming. It canceled everything else out. They trusted the person speaking more than the tool in their hand that fed them.
Okay, but hang on. If they trusted the voice that much, does that mean they must have known something about him before? Was this really the first time they ever met?
That's a fair question, a practical one. And there are hints, yeah, in other accounts. Like maybe Andrew had heard John the Baptist point Jesus out before.
So, maybe not a totally cold call.
Perhaps not totally cold, but whatever they knew, it was still very early days. Embryonic. It definitely wasn't enough information to justify, rationally throwing away their entire lives.
They didn't know the plan?
No plan, no budget, no itinerary, which leads to those huge unknowns they just accepted on the spot.
Okay, what are those?
Well, first, the simple question, where are we going? They didn't ask.
Right. They just went, trusting that wherever he led was better than where they were.
Exactly. And second, the job description itself, fishers of men. Think about how bizarre that must have sounded.
Yeah, I mean, their expertise was fish, actual fish.
Tides, nets, knots, weather, finding fish. Very practical, hands-on stuff.
It's like walking into, I don't know, a tech giant today and saying, I'm leaving my career as a deep-sea welder to become your lead software architect.
Huh. Yeah, something like that. And I've never written a line of code. The leap is huge.
Fishers of men. They were uneducated fishermen, not preachers or scholars.
Zero experience catching souls. How could they possibly think they'd succeed at that? They were committing to a totally new field with basically no transferable skills. Maybe patience, resilience.
But still,
yeah,
that immediate yes, that step without knowing how, that was apparently the key, the start of everything.
it had to be. Because they couldn't possibly have imagined it was coming. The real outcome.
You mean Peter, the guy dropping his net?
Yeah, that same guy would one day stand up in Jerusalem, give one talk, and 3,000 people would respond instantly.
Wow.
And their message, carried by guys like him, would end up spreading across the entire known world, changing history, changing civilization.
And none of that could have been foreseen on that beach.
Not a chance. All of that future impact was hidden behind that first simple decision, just trusting the caller, saying, yes, Lord, before even starting to count the cost.
But that initial yes, it wasn't just for a short-term project. It was a lifelong commitment, wasn't it? And the cost,
Yeah.
it turned out to be incredibly high.
Oh, absolutely. The sources make that clear. The cost would be monumental. You look at Peter again, the archetype of this immediate faith.
He followed Jesus right to the end.
To martyrdom. Tradition says he was crucified but felt unworthy to die the same way as Jesus, so he asked to be crucified upside down.
So that single word, immediately, it wasn't just about speed. It was about the depth of commitment from moment one. A commitment that led to the ultimate sacrifice.
It really puts incredible weight on that moment, doesn't it? Which kind of forces us to ask, okay, what about us today? In our world of planning and caution and, well, hesitation.
Right. How does this translate? Do we respond like that immediately when we feel that nudge, that conviction?
Whether it comes through scripture or just that quiet inner knowing or maybe a sudden realization about something.
Because our default mode usually is, wait, let's pause.
Exactly. We wait for a better time, wait till things are clearer or we feel more comfortable, or until we've got a bigger safety net.
We want to figure it all out first, get the plan locked down.
But what Peter and Andrew show us is the opposite principle, isn't it? Following rarely starts with full understanding. It rarely starts when we feel perfectly ready.
It starts with trust.
It starts with trust in the person calling. We want certainty first, but the call often demands immediacy.
You know, I actually find that really encouraging.
Yeah.
Because it means you don't have to have it all together.
Right.
Peter, the fisherman, he definitely had doubts later, fears. He wasn't ready to preach to thousands when he dropped that net.
Not at all. He was called right in the middle of his ordinary, messy life, while his hands were dirty, in his weakness, his confusion.
And that's maybe the crucial point for us listening now. Jesus calls us, not because we're perfect or ready,
but because he is ready. Ready to work in us, through us, right now, just as we are. Weakness, uncertainty, confusion, and all.
He just asks for that first step, that yes, now.
Yeah. And that call today, it probably doesn't sound like a voice on a beach.
No, probably quieter.
Often it's that quiet conviction, right? That feeling you need to forgive someone, even when it's really hard.
Or maybe surrender something you're clinging to, a comfort zone, a plan.
Or step up to serve in a way that feels awkward or outside your skill set.
Or maybe just trust him in that one area, financial, relational, whatever, that feels completely out of control.
That quiet nudge. It's just as powerful, just as real as the voice Peter and Andrew heard. And it asks for the same thing.
Dropping our modern nets.
Our security blankets, yeah? Our careful plans, our need for control.
So wrapping this up, the big lesson from diving deep into just this one moment, this one word.
It seems to be the sheer power of that immediate, unhesitating obedience. The kind that's rooted in trust, not in having all the answers.
Faith isn't knowing everything yourself.
It's trusting the one who does know everything, even when you know almost nothing about where you're going or how it will turn out.
It flips the script, really. We want to see the whole map before we start the journey.
But this kind of faith commits first, then watches the map unfold.
And it really makes you pause and think. History could be so different if Peter and Andrew had hesitated on that shore.
If they'd said, okay, interesting proposal. Can you give us the 5-year projection for fishers of men?
What's the ROI? What are the risks?
Right. If they demanded guarantees, safety, success metrics, the moment might have just passed them by.
They saw the value of the moment. They didn't let calculation override the call.
Exactly.
So maybe the provocative thought we leave you with today is this. What if your greatest future impact, your version of Peter's 3,000, is waiting just behind a first step, an immediate step you need to take now?
And if that's true, what's the real cost of delaying? What nets are you still holding on to? Maybe knowing deep down you need to just drop them.
Something definitely worth reflecting on.
For sure. Some powerful stuff to consider this week.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.